Hello everyone, welcome to the Great Indian School podcast. We are here in Ajmer with Mr. Sanjay Khati, who is the principal of Mayoor School, Ajmer. Welcome, sir, to the Great Indian School
Thank you, Dhruv.
podcast.
Thank you. Such a pleasure, delight. Yeah.
So, sir, it'll be a throwback. We'll be taking you back into your school
Please
days
do.
and your childhood.
Scary as it sounds, I hope it doesn't turn out to be that dreadful.
Yes. So then let's start with the very beginning. Tell us about your schooling, about your school days in childhood.
Well, my father was a teacher, so I studied in the same school where he used to teach. And it has been, I mean, if I recollect and, reminisce about it, I think it's been a wonderful experience because I came across people, they don't make it like them anymore. I came across people who have been huge influence on my life. So it's been a rewarding journey. It's been a very relevant, meaningful journey, very creative journey. So on the whole, the experience has been really, really brilliant.
Nice. So did you change schools in the childhood, or
I didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was at Sainik School Chittorgarh, which is, apparently as the name sounds, a little, it's a nursery for preparing you for National Defense Academy and the armed forces. But of course, I had different inclinations. So I did do whatever the school asked me or expected me to do. But at the same time, I had a kind of a parallel life there. So I was doing a lot of things that others weren't doing. And I think those are the things that kind of, defined me over the years, the person that I am today. So, yes.
So there's a question that, every child is being asked, "Bade hoke kya banna chahte ho?" What was your answer to that question?
Never thought about it.
Okay.
So I was from a very small town, and you'll be surprised. I mean, never thought about it. Okay. I mean, it just happened, So when my friends were doing the masters in Hindi, I did my masters in Hindi. Somebody was doing masters in chemistry, so I joined that course. And eventually I did whatever, just happened. My friends were doing it, so I did it. I mean, that was a reality at that time.
Okay.
It seems to be pretty, kind of a macabre thing to think about now, that, but from a small town, we weren't really too aspirational. My parents weren't too demanding. So things happened the way they happened. I mean, just meandered. Yeah.
So can you describe your school friends gang? Are you still in touch with them, or are you still connected?
Some of them I've grown up with. And these are people I can call in the dead of the night and, tell them anything that I feel like. And we connect sometimes over a period of 6 months, maybe a year. And it's a beautiful experience just to be around with them, not talking, not, discussing anything at all, just to be around with them. So it's a very, very kind of a soothing experience to be around with friends. Yes. This generation, I don't know, I mean, whether they still have friends or not, but my generation, of course,
that was
used to thrive on friendships.
real friendships without any social
Absolutely,
media.
absolutely. And our paths haven't crossed ways since then professionally, or we don't have anything common, but we are still friends and we enjoy and rejoice.
So one of the things that was different, like that has definitely changed, is the arrival of social media into our lives. And now you can't separate social media with your virtual reality with the reality that we are living in. So what do you think about how can we integrate social media into the curriculum?
I think
because we can't ask students to just not be on it.
Absolutely, it's inevitable.
Yes.
This is something that you have to be. I mean, you have to ride that bandwagon actually.
Yes.
Just to be a part of the mainstream. But yes, I think we do sensitize the children and everybody else to be responsible whenever they're using. It's a little scary. I mean, come to think of the inherent dangers of it, I think it's pretty scary. And as a school principal, I believe that, the children must be told about it, must be sensitized towards it. To what extent are we successful or not is something very difficult to kind of predict. But yes, we do make conscious effort to talk to our children, to our parents, to our teachers, the entire school community, and tell them about the inherent dangers. So endemic to this entire social media thing but yes, we do have an Instagram page, we do have a Facebook page, we have the school website. So we have the, the physical publication.
Yes.
So yeah, I think for us to be visible to the other schools, this is one thing that we must do and we are doing. Yes.
With the generations that are coming up, there is a term that is used as woke. So the generation after us is becoming, even more woke and aware about the issues. And another thing that's very, very crucial to talk about, which is, surprisingly now, it's a good thing that it's coming up, is inclusion. So what do you think about inclusion? How do you make sure that, if a child comes up and says that, I belong to, if I belong to the LGBTQIA plus community, or if a child who is, a children with disability, if he comes up and, he wants to be around in a classroom and feel like they belong, what do you do for that?
So we try to recreate a real world in the school. I think we are pretty open about it. And, that's a kind of a responsibility. I mean, that's more than the moral, ethical part. I think it's the responsibility of anybody's conscience
Yes.
to be able to create a kind of a nurturing environment for inclusivity. And that's what's, prevalent and, vogue, as you said, and
Yes.
vogue in the school. So yes, I think it poses its own set of challenges. I think it's fraught with challenges and pitfalls
Yes.
and roadblocks and impediments all around, but I think it's worth it. And I will just try to create a real world. Whatever happens in real world happens in school.
Yes.
So I do look at a little, smirk and disdain at schools that are exclusively boys' school or exclusively girls' school, because that's not the way the real world is.
Yes.
The real world is, a mix or an amalgam of everything. And I think, that answers your question, because I'm okay with it, anything. But yes, I think sometimes I feel, and I'm a little skeptical, apprehensive of the fact whether we are mature enough to be able to deal with such things. So you have to strike a very, very fine balance between what you need to tell to the children and to what extent do you need to accept them, and how you're responsible for the parents, how you're responsible to the teachers who are dealing with such, malleable material, the young people of a school.
They also need to be sensitive.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be able to create that kind of a mature environment in the school where it is not an anomaly anymore, which is a part of the system, and this is the way real world is. I mean, these other people, and with challenges and with disabilities, who are there in the real world, and these children would cross. I mean, their paths would cross their path as well. So I think they must know how to deal with such a situation.
True.
Yeah.
So we'll play a quick rapid fire.
Yeah,
I'll
please
ask you
do.
some quick questions
Yeah,
about
of course.
some fun
Yes,
questions.
yes.
So starting first bench or last bench?
Always the last bench.
Okay.
Always. And I encourage my children to go. And I always look at, my teachers were sitting there in the last bench today, I mean, in that conference, and I was really, really ecstatic about it. I said, this is the philosophy that I kind of propagate in school.
Yes.
Yeah. We achieve the maximum when we sit on the last bench. And also, when you're talking to a bunch of children, I mean, you're looking, I mean, the front benchers are usually, I mean, the gaze of the person who's talking to them doesn't meet the people who are sitting in the front row. Always towards the end. So I think yes, but also it's a very, very profound statement. Sitting, on the last bench and on the last benches, and to be able to make a difference and to have a voice of your own. So I think yes, it's fun. Last benches.
Nice. So any particular mischief that you remember that you pulled off
I used to,
sitting on the last bench?
I used to bang the table. So my feet weren't visible to the teacher, and I used to bang the table. But over a period of time, teachers were clever that time, so they could actually find out that I was the one who was responsible for this. So yes.
So any punishment that you particularly remember?
I was asked not to attend the class for another week or so, 10 days, that particular specific lesson.
Nice. That you will still remember that. Yeah. Or the coolest item in your school bag? What are you very proud to show off?
As a kid, I was very fond of erasers.
Okay.
And the various animal shapes the erasers used to come in. That's one thing. I was extremely fond of magnets.
Okay.
Magnets. A lot of, Three Little Pigs, that, storybook that I used to have.
Yes.
I mean, that was years ago, but still. So magnets, yes. Erasers, of course, I was extremely fond of. Pens, all kinds of it, I was extremely fond of. What else?
Any particularly favorite?
Yeah, bookmarks.
Okay.
Yeah, still, till this date, if my wife wants to gift me something, she knows what to go in for. So she'll go in for a brilliant bookmark and, make me happy. That
nice.
kind of
So were you a child who used to sit in the library, prefer sitting in the library or the classroom more?
To an extent, the rapport that to an extent where the librarian would actually, take out Daniel Jones', pronunciation guide and would hand it over to me saying that's yours. And we'll show it is lost because you are the only person who apparently uses this. Okay. So that kind of thing, Yes, absolutely wonderful. That was my favorite haunt, and till date, I read a lot.
Great.
Yes.
Any favorite tiffin dish that you had?
So I love Kumaoni dishes. That's the place where I come from, and I love Kumaoni dishes. Now, unfortunately, my mother isn't around, so there aren't people who can make that dish for me. But I hope my wife learns to, cook as well as my mother could. So maybe one day, yes.
All right. And your favorite childhood cartoon characters?
not into cartoons, because that was a time when television hadn't come in.
Okay.
That was the time when mobile phones weren't there. Dennis the Menace.
Great.
Yeah, I used to read maybe Phantom, Mandrake.
Okay.
I mean, that's Indrajal comics.
Yes.
I mean, any character you pick from them. I mean, yeah, world of fantasy and imagination. What wonderful world it was. Yes.
Great. So now, one final question.
Please.
Any particular book or film that you would recommend every student to watch or read?
I don't watch a lot of films, but yes, I can recommend a lot of books.
Okay.
One book, Freedom at Midnight. I mean, that's a book that stayed with me over the years. Razor's Edge by Somerset Maugham, Freedom at Midnight by Dominic Lepere, Larry Collins, I think. Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach. That's an amazing book.
Any book that you're reading right now?
I'm reading this book, funny book, and I put a cover to it because it doesn't look appropriate. It's called Robert Greene's. Is that what he's called? 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
So I want to have power. So, but I don't know whether it will be appropriate to kind of share it with the rest of the world. I asked my people to cover it up so that nobody gets to know what I'm reading. And it talks of it's a very unethical, nonsensical book, but I think it makes interesting read. Yes.
Yeah. Great.
And of course, not many. Yeah. I read multiple books at the same time. Yeah.
Nice. Great. Thank you so much.